smartpassiveincome.com. I'm really happy to have Alex Becker on the show with us today. He has a website at source-wave.com, and he's an SEO expert, and he's going to help us understand what's working today with SEO and backlinking. So let's get right to the interview. All right, hey, what's up, Alex? Welcome to the Smart Passive Income YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Pat, what's happening? It's great to be here. I've been a long-time reader.
Well, thank you. And actually, it was Alex that reached out to me because he said that he had some interesting stuff to share in regards to search engine optimization. So, Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what your website is, and why you're here today?
So, for lack of better words, I guess you could call me, I don't know, an SEO enthusiast. But what I do is I handle the SEO and the search engine marketing for pretty large companies. In the past, a long while ago, I actually would work as an SEO director or SEO manager at a few marketing agencies. And what that allowed me to basically do was to work with a lot of budgets and see what's really going on in the SEO world just constantly, because I just had all this like test going on because of the budget. But SourceWave, what is that all about? SourceWave is basically my blog where I go out, I share a lot of my SEO knowledge, because basically when I got started, it was really hard to find really good SEO knowledge online. So I started the blog, it kind of blew up a little bit, and now it's like my #1 client getting attraction ever. So pretty cool stuff.
Nice. Okay, so you're an SEO expert and you have a blog at source-wave.com. And why are you here on the show today? What do you have to offer us?
All right, so what do I have to offer? Well, I used to be in the Air Force, and when I was getting out, really didn't have any income stream to rely on. It was just basically like jumping off a cliff. And I heard about this SEO thing and how a lot of people were making money. So I asked a friend who was involved with it. I said, where can I go to get some solid SEO information? Of course, pointed me to Niche Site Duel. This was almost 2.5 years ago. And basically, that's what got me all started. It's just what has completely fueled me to where I am right now. Now, of course, there's other things I looked at, but it was one of the big things. So what I wanted to do today is come and kind of give back. Because right now I see a lot of people saying SEO is dead, or a lot of people just throwing the towel. And the fact is, with the current algorithms, it's easier than ever to rank. So I just wanted to come on today and give your readers some really solid info to just basically allow them to kick Google's butt right now.
Well, thank you, Alex. Of course, we really appreciate that. And it's really interesting because I've been hearing a lot of the same stuff. My backlinking strategy, I'm testing it and it still works, but not quite as well as before. And, when it works versus when it doesn't work, it's not even clear. So I would love to hear what you have going on. And, it was pretty much ever since the Google Panda and Penguin updates when things started to go awry. So maybe the first question I should ask you is, what should people avoid doing in order to get better search engine rankings or to avoid being slapped by Google right now?
And that's what it really all comes down to. If you can avoid penalties while getting consistent results in SEO, you can basically do whatever you want, because you'll slowly but surely get up to the top of Google, which you don't have to go so slow anymore. You can actually rank in a few days, a lot of times, or a week, if you do the things the right way. But to answer your question, what is really getting people penalized right now and why there's so much confusion is because, if you go anywhere, you're going to see people saying, oh, it's about quality content, or it's about having your site set up this exact certain way, or having your links from these exact places. And it's really a lot simpler than that. And this crazy confusion that's going on right now is just because people don't truly understand what Panda, what Penguin, and what the EMD update did. And Panda, of course, it would go out and would kind of sort out spammy links. But the reason why 90% of people get hit right now, it all comes down to anchor text. That's what the Penguin update was all about. That's what the EMD update was all about. The reason why these updates were so effective is because of how Google designed them. Basically, what they want to do is go out and just take down as many SEO sites as possible. But it's kind of hard to do since, there's a lot of websites on the internet. So they want to look at something that all SEO websites have in common. And back in the day, it was all about anchor text, all about anchor text, all about anchor text. So all Google had to do is say, hey, let's just go out there and look at the sites that have an abnormal ratio of anchor text. And that's 50%. And it's, at this point right now, it's actually 30% plus. And what you want to actually keep your anchor text under now is about 20%. But back to what I was talking about, what Google did is they looked at all the sites, and say a site is bluesneakersforsale.com, and 50% of its backlinks all have the anchor text blue sneakers for sale. That's just completely unreasonable. What they're basically logically thinking is that it's completely just ridiculous to think that all the people out on the internet who would be building links to this site, let's just say there's 10,000 links to the website. It'd be completely insane that 10,000 people built those links all with just the main keyword in mind. They would build more natural looking links like click here or just URL links. So all Google really had to do let's just look at the anchor text of websites, and that's the main reason people get hit right now. I'm sure there's other things that hit people right now, having low quality sites, having really spammy links. But for the main part, 95% of sites right now are just getting hit by the anchor text. That's why you see so many people got hit by these updates, because all Google had to do was just look back and just look at the anchor text and go, all right, well, 60% of your links all say blue sneakers for sale. That's crazy.
Okay, so anchor text, meaning the link that other sites have, the link that they click on to link back to your site. And you're saying that, and I know this, back in the day, it was pretty much the more you have, the better of the exact match of the keyword that you're targeting. And now it should be, you said 20%. So one out of every 5 links should be your primary keyword, and all those other ones, like, should it be your primary keyword plus a couple other keywords, or should it be things like click here or read this? I mean, what's working best right now?
And so that's a really good question. It actually brings up some really cool ways to be making anchor text right now that really help your site, but are not damaging, like having the same keyword over and over again. And it comes down through use of what I like to call synonyms and MISC keywords. And the way I like to do this is kind of break the keywords down in 3 groups. And I actually got this from a really good friend of mine, Greg Morrison. But we sat down, he actually told me this, and I started using it. It worked like crazy. So what we want to do when we're building links, I said you want to keep it around 20% to 30% for your main keyword. Yeah. And let's just say we build 9 links. We want to follow it in this kind of pattern. So let's just say the first 3 links we built. Let's just imagine ourselves about blue sneakers for sale. Well, what they would want to be is blue sneakers for sale, best sneakers for sale, and maybe place to find sneakers for sale online. Now that would cover kind of our main keywords, and we want to hop into our synonyms, and this is how they work. So imagine if we had a site out there about blue sneakers for sale. Logically, a lot of the anchor text would be like shoes, buy shoes online, flip-flops, things related to shoes, like shoestrings maybe. And what that does is it really tells Google, hey, these are a lot of natural links coming in, and it kind of paints like a big picture of what the site is relevant to. Because of course the main thing it's relevant to is blue sneakers for sale, but as we go through, it's like it's relevant to shoes, it's relevant to high heels, it's relevant to flip-flops, and this doesn't have to be in the shoes niche, but you see it paints that kind of overall picture of relevance to the overall niche, and that's where the synonym kind of branch of links comes in. Now the final 3 links we want to build, so we've got those 6 links. We've got 3 main keyword links, we've got 3 kind of synonym relevant backlinks. Next 3 backlinks we want to build are just what I like to call MISC links. And these are what most people build link-wise. I'm talking about maybe just click here would be the anchor text, more info, or you just have a plain URL there. And what that does is it paints a really natural backlink profile. And what a lot of people were doing is just going out there and maybe 60% of their keywords would have blue sneakers for sale in them. And that's just such a dead giveaway.
Okay, so how are we building these links? Okay, we sort of understand the anchor text, and I'm sure there are more detailed ways to go about it and more formulaic ways to go about it. And just so you know, those of you watching this right now and listening to this, I'm actually going to be putting this stuff to the test. Alex has a lot of case studies where he's ranked, pretty competitive keywords using his strategies in a week or even less, which is pretty ridiculous. And I want to put this stuff to the test, and I want to see it working. And he's going to kind of show me how this works, and we're all going to kind of do it together and see what happens. But anyway, we understand the anchor text sort of, really low percentage using synonyms and other types of keywords within that particular niche, not necessarily using the same keywords that matches your target keyword. But how are you building those links? I mean, there's obviously, the traditional ways like article writing and social bookmarking and directories and things like that. What should we do, or what's working right now? And also, what are people doing that is not working or that we should avoid?
All right, Pat. So like we talked about last time, there's 2 strategies that are really working right now. And I kind of want to lay out 2 strategies. One, it's kind of more you have to invest a little bit. Another strategy where anybody can really hop into it. And the first strategy when it comes to building links, this absolutely kills it. If you get this right, you do this the right way, you can rank in days to weeks, like I showed you in a lot of the case studies I showed you last time we talked. Now, the first strategy requires going out there, and before I get into that, you've got to understand that the core of SEO is relevance and PR. If you can get more high PR backlinks from relevant places, then you win at SEO. Now the challenge is those links are really hard to get. If you make a site about, let's just say, dog training, it's going to be really hard to go out there and find a ton of high PR dog training sites that want to link to you. And by high PR, I mean just on the home page it has a high PR. That's a really big challenge. You're not going to be able to really do that efficiently. So what we can then do to kind of get that core relevance plus PR is we can go out there and we can buy high PR domains. And it depends on how much you want to invest. Say you have a local client who's paying you know $1,000 to $5,000 per month to do this. You can go out there and you can invest in buying some PR5 domains. Say you're kind of just getting started on this, maybe investing in some PR2 or PR3 domains, which you can usually pick up for $15 to $20 with some places we'll be showing you how to, of course, find them at for that price. It's kind of a steal, but there's a secret to getting them. So say we have a site about dog training. What we'll do, we'll just simply go out there and we'll buy a few high PR domains, just to say PR2 to 3. And what we'll do is, one thing to keep in mind, the URL doesn't matter too much, but we'll fill these sites with content relevant to dog training. We'll put maybe a few articles on there, make sure the keywords are kind of spread throughout the page, and then we'll simply link back to our site. And so what happens is we get that awesome core and relevant backlink, this is core PR, core relevance, linking back to our site. And that just allows us to see basically almost overnight success sometimes, because you just get that core of SEO, and that is PR and relevance. Now that strategy works extremely well when you combine it with other types of kind of backlinking I'm about to get into right here. And this is what I like to call PR1 backlinking. So what I want you to imagine right now is we kind of stick to the backlinking strategy you had in the past, kind of building the pyramids. We'd have kind of the Web 2.0s and so forth pointing to our sites. Now, what we need to do now, and what Panda really hammered down on, was spammy link sources. If you're posting on what I like to call bad link neighborhoods, then you're going to get in trouble. And these bad link neighborhoods are really, really hard to avoid if you're just using normal tools or services, because no tool right now is designed to avoid bad link neighborhoods. And there's only one real way, in my mind, to really go about finding these bad link neighborhoods and really kind of completely avoiding them. So what you got to understand about bad link neighborhoods is 90% of sites that have a bad profile with Google or might be penalized or might be recognized as spammy link providers, they're usually going to hang around the PR0 or PRNA range. And that gives us a very good definition of where they're going to be. Now, not all PRNAs and not all PR0s are bad sites. That's not true at all. But most of the bad sites are going to be within that range, and also PR0 and PRNA links don't really provide you too much value. So what we can do to overcome this is we can simply go out there and we can post only on PR1 sites. Now, it's not that every single PR1 site out there is clean, but if we go out there and we post to PR1 plus sites, then we can almost completely avoid all those bad link neighborhoods, because a lot of times Google's not going to award a PR to sites it does not like. So when we combine that kind of PR linking, and that's something you can easily achieve with tools or just very specific services out there, you can actually just have a very good link profile. And as long as you keep your anchor text by what we talked about earlier, then you're basically on fire. So those are just two strategies. And the way they really work together really well is if you combine the first strategy with the second strategy. Of course, some people might not want to invest too much in the first strategy because they're just starting out. That's okay. The second strategy works very well as well.
Okay, so a few follow-up questions to strategy 1 and strategy 2. Strategy 1 being where you're sort of buying PR 2 to 3 to, depending on your budget, 5 sites, and then so I have a question on that, and also a question on this PR1 sort of network that you're talking about. So talking about the one that you just talked about, getting PR1 sites. Now, does that mean, if you're building links on those sites, is the root domain the PR1 or bigger, or is it, because I know a lot of times when we create articles, even on things like easyinarticles.com, when we create an article and put a backlink on it, it's a PR0 article because it's just brand new.
And yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of times when we post on Easy in Articles, we create links places, they're going to be on PR0 or PRNA pages. But what I meant by kind of the PR1 pyramids that we talked about is basically we want to be posting on sites where the root domain is a PR1 or PR above like you talked about. As long as we kind of stick to sites like that, we're going to be pretty safe. Now, with a lot of tools out there, you can set your tools to automatically post to only PR1 plus sites. It's very, very easy to do. And so that's basically what we want to aim to do. Of course, a lot of the pages we create will be PR0s at first. Just we want to stick to the kind of PR1 plus sites.
Okay, and you keep mentioning these tools. What are these tools specifically, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay, so there's about 3 tools you can use, and the first one I really like is SEO, but not the base version. All right, if you just open up any of these tools and press the go button, you're going to get some very mixed results. What I like to do with SEO, because I like to go on there and you have to set the tools in a certain way to only post to PR1 sites. Sometimes I'll go and actually edit kind of the files, but a lot of times you can just kind of select the sites you want to post to. Very easy to do in SE Nuke. Now, two cheaper alternatives of that are Ultimate Daemon and Magic Submitter. Now, both those tools are not as pick up and go as SE Nuke, but they are good alternatives. You can manage each of these tools to post only the PR1 Plus sites. So that's how we're going to go out and kind of set that up.
And are you writing articles for those tools, or is that how they work? You're submitting articles to those specific sites?
Yeah, pretty much. Some of the links you build, like social bookmarks and whatnot, don't require an article. But a lot of times when we're submitting to kind of wikis, PDF, or article sites, or Web 2.0s, we're definitely going to need an article. And of course, you want to go through and spin that.
Okay. Now, going back to your other, strategy where you're talking about purchasing PR2, 3, whatever sites. Now, I remember, a bunch of link networks that a lot of people were using, Blog Blueprint and Build My Rank, that were blog networks that got just totally killed by Google. Now, isn't that what you're kind of building here by purchasing these sites and creating your own little network? Like, shouldn't we have to worry about that, or what are your thoughts?
That's a really good point. I thought the same thing too. When I used to go out there and I started building PR networks when I was working at this agency, I used to think, well, that happened to Blog Blueprint, that happened to Build My Rank. Do I really want to do this, invest some money? But the thing you got to understand about those networks is they were kind of like the link mafia. Think maybe back in the 20s where like the mafia was just getting away with just murder. And eventually when they were out in the street just waving the red flag, eventually they got busted because it was just so obvious they were doing it. And eventually the cops, the government, whoever, cracked down on them. Well, Google's the same way. Back in the day with the blog networks, Google was very, very well aware of these networks, and it was very, very easy to spot who was behind all of them. In fact, all Google had to do was go out there and hop on a forum and just read a few forum posts. And it's just crazy because, a lot of people are really paranoid about Google tracking their whole activity online, looking at their analytics, looking at all their backlinks and stuff like that. But then they think Google's too stupid just to hop on like Black Hat World or Warrior Forum and see what type of network everybody's using. And at that point, it's just a really simple solution to go out and nail these networks. And remember what I talked about with the Google updates. Google wants to go out there and they want to nail as many SEO sites as possible. And so what these networks kind of ended up being was like a giant flycatcher for Google. They just had to wait for the networks to build up, look at everybody who was using them, and then just slap all of them. And so basically when Google goes out there and just looks at forums, looks at all these networks that are being heavily advertised, it's like they were literally buying billboards all over the internet saying, hey, we're breaking Google's terms of service, come break it with us. That's all they had to do at that point. All they had to do was hop on the network. And it'd be fairly simple for even a basic SEO to hop on these networks and track all the sites. So after they waved their banners everywhere, they made it completely clear they were abusing the Google terms of service, then at that point it was just a matter of time before Google hopped on them. And that's why PR networks like that just don't work anymore, because the second a network starts to get big, the second a lot of people start talking about it, the second you buy a massive banner ad saying we're abusing Google, Google's going to crack down on you. Now, this is almost totally different than what we're going to be doing. When you set up your own kind of private network, and it doesn't take a huge investment up front either. That's what kind of intimidated me at first as well. Basically, when you go out there and you set up your own network, Google has much bigger fish to fry. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. And so we're up there, we're setting up a network about anywhere from 10 to 50 sites, maybe way down the road. You really don't have anything to worry about as long as you're not doing what these big networks were doing, which is buying banner ads, going on the forum, telling everybody, hey, you can join up now, and basically just telling the whole world that they were abusing Google. With your own little private network, Google just really doesn't have the time or resources to find it. They don't even really care that much. It's all about nailing the big fish, and you're basically pretty safe. So the chances of you really getting nailed like Blog Blueprint or Build My Rank, virtually zero. It's just until you start making a huge ruckus and basically spit in Google's face, you don't have much to worry about. So keeping the network to yourself keeps it pretty safe.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, one more question in regards to that particular strategy. If you're buying these sites, and I'll ask you in a second where, you're saying that the domain and the content on that site that you're buying, if it's a PR2 site, doesn't have to be relevant to your site. You can buy that because it has a PR2 or 3 or whatever, and then change things around, and then put in the proper anchor text and make that site relevant, even if the domain name is something like, fly fishing, and your stuff is about dog training. Like that works?
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because a lot of times the sites we're going to be buying, they're not going to be pre-populated with content. It's not we're going to be buying a big site that already has all these articles on it and then kind of sneaking our links in there. What we're going to be doing is basically going out there and finding domains right before they expire that have good PR And then what we're going to be doing is just basically putting WordPress on the site, very simple, and then filling the site with relevant content. And that's really all it takes at that point. You're basically working with a clean slate that has a really high PR.
Okay, I see. And so any sort of where would you find these sites on Flippa or?
Well, most of the time where we're going to be finding these sites, we're going to be finding them on GoDaddy. And there's a few tools actually out there that help you find sites right before they expire on places like GoDaddy and a few other domain auctions. And that's really useful because the GoDaddy auctions and other site auctions aren't designed to help you find PR sites. They're to help you find domain names and so forth. But there's a few sites like FreshDrop.com or a tool called PR PowerShot that basically lets you go out there and you can see the domains of PR sites before they're expiring on GoDaddy. You can basically jump in there in like the auction house right before they expire and just basically hop on these domains right before they're bought. So you can end up getting a lot of PR4 domains, PR3 domains, PR2 domains for way cheaper than they would usually go for. For example, sometimes PR3 domains will go for like $90. But if you go out there and you use FreshDrop or PR PowerShot, you're going to be able to go in there and find kind of those cheaper PR2 or PR3 domains that I talked about earlier. Now, if you're looking for kind of the higher PR domains, you're usually going to have to go through a domain vendor, and these are usually guys you can find on Digital Point and a few other websites out there on the internet. Most of the time you're just going to have to dig for them. They're on Digital Point, Warform, a lot of places. And what they do is they'll basically go out there, and they've gotten really good at buying those really high PR domains, and then you'll basically negotiate and buy the domains through them. If you're just starting out though, PR PowerShot, FreshDrop.com, great resources for finding kind of the lower PR domains for really good deals.
Cool. And how many of these sites do you want to shoot for in your sort of network or whatever?
If I was just starting out, maybe 3 to 4. Of course, you just want to go out there and you're going to get that initial testing done. And maybe later down the road, just start building up on it, but you'll get really good results from a few domains just like that right off the bat if you do your keyword research the right way.
And you just need one link coming from the sites pointing to your main page?
Well, the way we want to build the links on the site is kind of by the kind of anchor text profile that I talked about earlier. All we'll have to basically do is we'll go out there and we'll make maybe one main keyword link. So say our site is about dog training. All right, let's just imagine that.
Okay.
Our main keyword link on the site will be like dog training. Our next keyword link will be like puppy cage training, something like that, something relevant to the niche. And then our final link on the site will be like a URL link or an image link. And that kind of gives us that really natural looking backlink profile coming to the site, and also gives us 3 backlinks coming from the high PR site instead of just 1.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know those of you listening or watching this right now are probably, if you're not an expert on SEO already, your mind's probably blown or you probably don't know what to do. That's why I want to sort of put this stuff to the test just to see what happens. Just like I did with the niche site tool, see if I could bring another site up in today's SEO world. And so we'll see what happens, and I'm going to work with Alex and see, what we can do and just put this to the test. It'll be fun. Now, we talked about purchasing tools and websites. What about for people who don't have a budget? Can they still rank? Oh
yeah, you can definitely go out there and still get really good results with this. You just got to be doing your keyword research really well at this point. And of course, you're not going to be going out there, you're not going to be competing in really competitive niches, but that's not how you should start out anyways. So if you go out there and you kind of build sites kind of like how Pat used to in the niche site tool, you saw he made like a lot of web 2.0s and then would link to those sites. That still works very well. And you can basically go and you can go to a social bookmarking site, link to your site like that, and you can still get results doing that, just as long as you do your keyword research the right way. And also, with that being said, we really got to tap on the anchor text. If you create a new site and you go out there and you build tons of links, and all your links are the same kind of anchor text, that's still going to get you slapped. So go out there, kind of use the kind of free methods you've seen Pat use before in the niche site tool. They're great examples, but just keep the anchor text in mind, and you're going to be seeing pretty good results as long as you do your keyword research the right way. You gotta pick good keywords.
Okay. Yeah, I think the big theme here is anchor text, and I know a lot of people got hit because they were over-optimized for anchor text. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong really quick, if your site got slapped, in that update, you can work on your anchor text and try to get back some of those links or change some of the anchor text to get that link profile back to where it should be. Is that right?
Oh yeah, you definitely can. But the cool thing about Google right now is you can still rank for competitive keywords extremely quickly. Last we talked, I showed you myself ranking for like a 22K search per month keyword, like a 30K per month search per keyword in a few days. There's actually one where it's like 24 hours. So sometimes a better solution is just not try and fix your site, not try and do the Google rain dance of healing, as I like to call it. But you can actually go out there and you can just make a new site and rank it just as fast, actually like 3 days later. So that's kind of my input on that.
All right. Now, thank you, Alex, for coming on the Smart Passive Income YouTube channel. You said you had something to offer us just to kind of give us a little bit more information on this, before we get together in another video when we start to do another niche site duel or case study. What is it that you had to offer?
Yeah, what I wanted to do is I'm pretty sure this interview probably created more questions for people than it kind of made answers. It showed them some really cool opportunities, but they're like, all right, how do I really get started doing this? Because really in SEO, you need the nitty-gritty to get started. So what I want to do is put the 2 strategies we talked about earlier in 2 separate PDFs for your subscribers. One to kind of just easier, less competitive strategy that is kind of for people that want to just get started. And the other one to kind of more hardcore, very competitive strategy you can use, say you have SEO clients, you've been doing SEO for a while. And that way, anybody who really needs the nitty-gritty can just hop into it and kind of pick up and kind of get the small details that everybody really wants.
Yeah, and we'll try to do that the next time we meet. So thank you, Alex, for coming on the show. You know, Alex, again, source-wave.com. Go check him out. He's got some great case studies. He's very transparent there, and he's got a great community built there, too. And yeah, thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome, Pat. Very happy to be here.
All right, take care.
All right, cool.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Alex Becker from source-wave.com. Lots of great information, and I'm sure you have a lot more questions. But like he mentioned in the video, there are a couple downloadable PDF files that you can get. The links to those will be in the description below, or if you're watching this on the blog, there will be links to those PDF files here on the blog. And please stay tuned. I got a lot more stuff in regards to niche sites coming up, with Niche Site Duel 2.0 coming up. I'm going to put these strategies to the test. I'm going to interview some more experts to try and get the best information out there on how we can build a high-ranking, quality, valuable niche site that's going to help people and also help pay us back in return. So